Hello and welcome to this explainer on behalf of Pratimoksha, Dubai's premier center for holistic wellness and yoga. Today, we're exploring a foundational element of our methodology, one that honestly completely transforms how our clients approach their bodies. If you're a busy professional balancing a demanding career with your fitness, you've definitely seen them. Those blocks, straps, and bolsters sitting quietly in the studio corner. But how you view these tools absolutely dictates the benefits you actually get from your practice. So today, we are unpacking the precision, the philosophy, and the honest practice of prop yoga at Pratimoksha. Okay, let's dive right into this. There is a very particular kind of pride that walks into a yoga space, sees the block, and quietly but firmly refuses it. The bolster stays folded, the strap is completely ignored. The unspoken assumption there is that relying on props means you just aren't good enough, or maybe not flexible enough, to do the pose the quote-unquote real way. Well, we're here to tell you that this ego-driven mindset is fundamentally flawed, and frankly, it's costing practitioners far more than they realize. To understand why, we really have to contrast two very different approaches: approximating a pose through compensation versus practicing it correctly with absolute precision. So many people believe they're doing yoga when they just kind of force their body into a shape that sort of looks like the picture. But in our experience at Pratimoksha, props are absolutely not remedial workarounds, not at all. They are instruments of exact precision. You see, when you approximate, your body compensates, it grips, it strains, but when you use a prop to find the correct alignment, you stop forcing an illusion and you start practicing the physical reality of the pose. Now, what's really interesting here is that clinical data actually backs this up 100%. A 2019 study published in the Journal of Bodywork and Movement Therapies found that when participants with limited flexibility used props, they achieved significantly better spinal alignment. And even more importantly, they did this without the compensatory strain that unassisted attempts almost always generate. So the science proves exactly what we teach. The props aren't making your practice easier, they're making it more anatomically accurate. Which brings us right to the core wisdom of our studio, so beautifully articulated by our founder, Lalitha Viswanath. As she has long emphasized in her teaching, the external shape of a posture is simply not the point. The internal experience of that shape, now that is the point. Are you actually breathing? Is your spine long? Is there literal space in your joints? Props are just the tools that help your body arrive at the right internal experience, even when your current range of motion would normally prevent it. Reaching that right internal state is and always will be our ultimate goal at Pratimoksha. Let's walk through exactly what happens in your body when you try to force a shape without a prop. Just imagine you're in a standing forward fold. You really want to touch your toes, but you've got tight hamstrings. What actually happens? Well, step 1, that tight hamstring pulls hard on the pelvis, tilting it backward. Step 2, because the pelvis is pulled, your lower back has to severely round just to compensate. And step 3, as a result, your lumbar vertebrae compress. You're holding your breath, your muscles are gripping, and you're achieving the exact opposite of what the pose is intended to do, all for the sake of just touching the floor. And this brilliantly illustrates the alternative. Watch the immediate, profound transformation when you simply place a yoga block under your hands in that exact same fold. Boom! Suddenly, the floor is brought up to you, your spine lengthens properly, your breath can move smoothly again, and most importantly, your nervous system stops reading the situation as a mild emergency. By introducing one simple prop, that dangerous compensation is totally resolved, and true therapeutic yoga can finally begin. So let's look at how we actually utilize these specific precision instruments in our classes. Blocks, they bring the floor closer to restore length to a straining spine. Straps, on the other hand, extend your reach so you don't have to hunch forward in a seated pose. We use bolsters to give your nervous system the profound, deep support it needs to truly let go. Blankets offer a subtle tilt to the pelvis, immediately taking pressure right off the lower back. And chairs, they make deep stretches and even inversions completely accessible. None of these are substitutes for the real thing. They are exactly how the real thing becomes available to your real body right now. 5. That's the magic number here, just 5 minutes. In our restorative and prop-based sessions, we teach that resting over a bolster in a supported chest opener for just 5 minutes does significantly more for deep nervous system release than 5 fast-paced vinyasa flows. It's true. When your body is completely supported by a prop, it no longer has to exert any effort to hold itself up. And that is when the absolute deepest layers of tension finally begin to melt away. Now, you might be wondering, who is most resistant to this approach? Usually, it's our typical Dubai client. We affectionately call them the middle group. These are fit professionals capable enough to approximate poses without falling over, so they just assume they don't need props. Beginners usually have no ego, or, well, less ego anyway, and highly advanced practitioners have completely let their ego go. It's the middle group that hasn't yet realized the hidden physical costs of faking a shape. Just because you are standing upright doesn't mean you are actually aligned. Let's move on and see how this hidden strain actually builds up throughout an average day for our corporate clients here in Dubai. At 9 a.m., the extended sitting begins. By 1 p.m., you're leaning way into the screen and that forward head posture really sets in. By 6 p.m., after hours stuck in a chair, your hip flexors have significantly shortened and tightened. This is the daily reality for so many of us. It's a slow, steady accumulation of strain, spending hours in positions the human body simply wasn't designed to hold indefinitely. And the predictable consequences of this corporate lifestyle? They're profound. We see shortened hip flexors, a weakened posterior chain, a chronic forward head position, and highly restricted thoracic, that's your mid-back, mobility. Keep in mind, these aren't dramatic sports injuries. These are the quiet, creeping consequences of long working hours and way too much screen time. This is the structural reality that walks through our studio doors every single day, requiring a highly specific, very understanding approach to heal. So, the crucial point is this: reversing these patterns requires something many fast-paced fitness classes completely lack: therapeutic patience. Our prop-based methodology at Pratimoksha relies heavily on this patience. A tightened, stressed nervous system needs profound physical support, like a perfectly placed bolster targeting the thoracic curve, and it needs sufficient time in that correct position to genuinely let go. You literally cannot rush the nervous system. It just doesn't work that way. Which brings us to an uncomfortable but incredibly valuable truth. Props reveal reality. When you use a strap in a forward fold, it shows you exactly how much hamstring length you actually have once your lower back stops cheating for you. A block and triangle pose shows you where your shoulder is genuinely rotating. At Pratimoksha, we teach with deep anatomical honesty as our baseline. And yes, this clarity can occasionally be a little uncomfortable to the ego, but that discomfort is purely informational. It's a map. As we often teach at Pratimoksha, a yoga practice builds over years, and the foundation you build upon absolutely matters. Think about the massive difference between these two paths. A block placed correctly in year 1, teaching your muscles and joints the precise, healthy map of alignment, versus a decade of unexamined compensation, literally building the wrong patterns on the inside while looking correct on the outside. One path leads to longevity and space, the other leads straight to compression and injury. So we want to leave you with this final, profound, internal check. What is your unexamined compensation currently costing your body? Are you unknowingly compressing your spine just to reach your toes? We invite you to abandon the ego at the door. If you are ready to experience the incredible physical reality of a pose arriving properly for the very first time, a trial session at Pratimoksha is the perfect place to start. Thank you so much for joining us for this explainer, and we really look forward to seeing you on the mat, fully supported, very soon.